All right, so we're gonna get started here. There might be a few late admittance, but that's okay. So my name is Amanda Myers, and I am the Student Services Advisor in Outreach and Awards here at Holland College. So we're going to talk today about awards and scholarships that we offer here at the college. And just a reminder that cameras and microphones are deactivated for this session for attendees. So if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat. I do have that open, so I'll be able to see it as they come in, and we will have some time for questions at the end as well. So just some things to note about internal awards here at the college, which is what we're talking about today. There are 105 internal opportunities for the enrolled award season. So that's an important thing to note that our entrance awards are currently closed for applications. They've all been distributed at this time. And our next round of awards are enrolled awards. So those are awards that are only for students who are attending the college and are currently in a program. So once you come here, you get settled in, you'll be able to apply for awards, even if you've already received some for the entrance season that has passed. You can still receive some for the enrolled season. So the application period for enrolled awards is September 23rd to November 1st. So November 1st is the very last day. Our online system does not permit any late applications. So we do give about a 6-week application period. And you can apply at that website right there, academicworks.hollandcollege.com. And I'll pop that in the chat at the end. And I'm also going to walk you through the application process as well. And the contact for me, the best way to contact me if you have any questions later on, anything you might forget to ask today, or if anything else pops up, it is awards@hollandcollege.com. And I'd also like to note that today's session is just going to be about our internal award processes. If you're a PEI student, so you're a PEI resident, you lived here for 12 months prior to starting school, I can also help with PEI student loans and grants and give information on the George Coles bursary and things like that. So if you do fall into that category, feel free to reach out to me with any questions. We just won't be talking about that in today's session. So I'm just going to open up the website here, and we're going to go through the application a little bit, and just pay close attention to the way the application is laid out and the instructions that I'm going to highlight for each question. All right, so this is our application here. The first time you go to this website, again, I will pop that in the chat at the end. You have to create an account. If you didn't apply for entrance awards, you will have to create an account using your personal email address. That's an important thing to note. I often get emails from students once they start their program asking why they can't log in with their Holland College email. It does not accept that. It has to be the personal email address you use when you apply to the college. And it's very important to pay close attention to these questions. If you answer them incorrectly, your application may not be considered properly, or you might be disqualified from a specific award that otherwise you would be qualified for. Just pay close attention to that. So we're just going to quickly go through the first section. They are pretty basic questions if you can pay close attention to what they're asking you. So your preferred name, if it's different from your legal name, you put that in there. If you don't have a different name, you can just put in your legal name. The gender with which you identify, your marital status, if you have dependents, which means children. If you have any children, you put that in there. And this question we often get some students that get hung up on. You answered yes to the previous question. What are the ages of your dependents? So if you answered yes that you have children, you would put, okay, I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. If you don't have children, you will see right here, I'm just going to highlight it, type NA if this does not apply to you. So often people will say, okay, I don't have children, I'm going to skip that question. Do you see that little asterisk right here beside a question? It has to be answered or your application will not be able to submit. So if you don't have children, you answered no to that first question, then you're going to put NA in this box right here. Next one, we want to know your residency status. international student, or domestic student. So a domestic student is considered Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or refugee status. Anybody else is considered international student. The program that you apply to or are enrolled in, which will be this case, so whatever program you're taking in September, when you're here and you're applying, that's the one you're going to choose. You should only be choosing one. When it says here to select multiple, if needed, that is for entrance award. So it's the same application for entrance awards and enrolled awards. Next, if you do and identify with one or more of the following employment equity groups. I often get questions on this, and this is not a question that I can answer. It's a personal question that only you have that information. So if you identify as Indigenous, a student with a disability, a visible minority, or other, or not applicable. If you don't fit into one of those groups, you have to answer not applicable. It's one of the questions with an asterisk. It has to be answered. Next, if you're fluent in any languages other than English, you can list them. If not, again, type NA or no. It's not specifically, doesn't have to be NA, it just can't be blank. And then which of the following best describes your previous education? This will look a little bit different when you apply for enrolled awards. The language hasn't been updated yet. We can't do that until August. So which of the following best describes you? If you graduated from high school in 2025, graduated from high school in 2024 or prior, did not attend post-secondary, there's 4 options there. So you'll choose the one that best fits your situation. And if you graduated from high school in June 2025, you can select a school from the list. If you did not, you can put not applicable. Again, there's an asterisk. It has to be answered or your application will not be submitted properly. And then, have you attended Holland College's adult education program in the past? We ask that as we do have some awards that are specific to students from adult education. And if you've graduated from a Holland College program previously, if you plan to or currently play a varsity sport with the Holland College Hurricanes, you can answer that yes or no. And then if you do answer yes to the question about varsity sports, we would like to know if we can share your award information with the athletics department. So every question on this section is required, as you'll see right here, there is a note about that. If you miss one, you will get an error message that says you have 16 errors, I believe, and that often sends students into a little bit of a panic, but it's usually just one question missing. So go through all of the questions, they all have to be answered in that one section. So next up is the financial section. This is not required, it's absolutely optional. However, you will be considered for more awards if you fill out the financial information. There's a lot of awards that are completely based on financial need, and you can't be on the list for those awards if we don't know what your financial situation is. So these links right here where you see the red, those take you right to your program cost. It's broken down by Canadian cost and international cost. And there's also a note here. So for entrance awards, we don't need to worry about that. But for enrolled awards, this is for your current academic year only. So if you're going into your first year, and in September when these open, you will be in your first year, and you go to your program tuition page and you see your first year is $5,000, that's what we want to see in here. We don't want you to add first year and second year together. We just want the current academic year. Same with books and supplies that are listed on that page as well. Current academic year only, and as well, you can't put decimals or dollar signs in this section. It won't allow you to submit with those. So just numbers only. No decimals either. So just like $5,000, no .00. Now, moving on to your personal expenses, if you're paying rent or a mortgage, we want to know the total for your current academic year. If your program is 10 months long and you pay $1,000 a month, you would put $10,000 in there. It's not monthly. If you put in your monthly cost, it will show that you are not in financial need and you will not be considered for any financial need-based awards. The same with your utilities, personal food, any childcare you may have, loan credit payments, or any other expenses that aren't listed. So For all of these, estimations are fine. We do not ask for receipts. We do not ask for proof of rent or proof of your mortgage payment or your utility bills or anything like that. Estimations are completely fine. Now, loan and credit payments, these are things that you're currently paying off. So if you had a student loan your first year and now you're going into second year, you don't need to put anything in there because you're not currently paying your student loan. But if you have a credit card and you're making monthly payments on that, we want to know what your payment would be for the current academic year. So if you pay $100 a month and your program's 10 months long, that's $1,000. Other expenses, sometimes we see additional childcare expenses that may not be included in the first box. We may see medical expenses, vehicle maintenance. Uh, if you're living in Surrey, but your program is in Charlottetown, we might see some gas or mileage expenses in there. So you can put anything in there that you think we should consider that wasn't already included. And there is a spot right below that for a brief explanation of what you did put in that other box, other expenses box, I should say. Now, this is where some students might find it a little bit tricky, so take note of this. It is your total expenses. So you want to add up everything you just put in these boxes all together, and that goes in your total expenses. Okay? And you're going to move on to your resources. Now, it's very important to note before you move on that this is correct. We have had students in the past who are clearly in a financial need situation, but they didn't add this up wrong, or they missed a number and they put $3,000 instead of $30,000. And that is the applicant's responsibility to make sure that is correct. And all of these are scored through a formula. So the formula is not going to pick up that there was an entry error. So double check, triple check your numbers when you're filling this out. And then going on to your resources, there's the same thing for each one. We have a little note about what this might be if you don't fully understand the first time looking at it. So personal savings, total amount of funds you have personally saved that will be used for your tuition, fees, or living expenses while in school. So with that, if you have $30,000 saved up in the bank for a mortgage for at that point in your life, but you're not using that for school, we will not consider that personal savings. This is for school use only, so something that you can use while you are in school for either your tuition, your living expenses, anything like that. But if it's in a special savings account that you can't access, or if it's in a trust, something like that, you don't need to include it because you cannot access it, you cannot use it while you're here. Next is family and spousal contribution. The same thing, if your family or spouse is contributing to your education, you can put in there how much they are giving you. If you have an RESP, you can put in how much you'll be receiving from that. But keep in mind, if you do have an RESP, which is a registered education savings plan, usually through a financial institution in Canada, it may be a lot higher than what you're getting this year. So if your parents were saving for your education, for example, and they have $20,000 saved, but this year you only get to take out $5,000, you only put in $5,000. You don't put in the whole amount that's saved because you're not using that money this year. So an important thing to remember is it's money you have currently for this academic year is what you're putting in these boxes. And then earning during studies. If you're going to be working part-time while you're in school, a estimation on this is fine, as I've already said. You can do a quick calculation of what your expected hours will be and your expected hourly wage and pop that in there. It does not have to be exact. We're not going to ask you for pay statements or anything like that. And external funding. This would be if you are being funded by skills training, employment insurance, or if you're part of a First Nation and your band is funding you, you can put that in there. And any student loans or line of credit. Now, this is a student loan that you would most likely not have the information for at this time, which is why we don't open these applications until the fall. But you should know how much of a student loan you have by September 23rd when they open, and definitely by November 1st when they close. So don't worry if you don't know that information right now. There is lots of time to get it. And you would put in this information Oh, sorry, in this box, you would put what the province is giving you if you're a Canadian citizen for this academic year. If you had a student loan previously at another institution, that's not what we want to know. We want to know what you're getting currently for this academic year only. And then any other award, scholarships, or bursaries. So if you received an entrance award from our entrance award season, or if you received an external award, you can put that in there as well. And then other. So if there's something that you're getting money from that we didn't include in this, you can pop that in there. And again, there's a spot for a brief explanation if needed. And you add all those up, like in the expenses section, and put that in total resources. Again, it's very important that this is added up correctly, so double, triple check it. And then the trickiest part, which isn't that tricky, but it's still the trickiest part of the application, is making sure your total expenses minus your total resources is correct. So to be in a position of financial need, you have to have a higher expense than you have resources, which means your expenses are higher than the money you're going to have. So on paper, it looks like you cannot afford the expenses you have listed. This number in this box right here should never be a negative. That would show us that you are not in a position of financial need, but rather you have more money than you do need, so you have extra. So this should never be a negative. And again, triple, double check this number to make sure it's added up correctly, that you didn't put a 8 instead of a 3 or a 9 instead of a 6. There's no decimals, there's no dollar signs, or it will not submit. And there is, again, like I mentioned before, a little note under each section for extra instruction. So it does say exactly which box from your application to take your expenses total from, which one to take your resources from, and subtract those together to get your financial need and what to put in that box. And there's also a spot here for any other financial information you would like us to know about. So sometimes we may see, I'm a single parent, I have 3 kids, sole income, things like that. Or sometimes we have international students who have to send money back home to their families. They'll pop that in there. So it might look like from the numbers that they're not really in a financial need spot, but then they give us a little more information. We can populate that into our formula when the applications are scored. After that, all you have to do is an electronic signature and the date, and you're done. And you'll finish and submit that. And I will show you what it kind of looks like. You'll be taken to a page after you submit that. It's called Recommended Opportunities. So our award system works in 2 different sections. We have Auto Match and Apply To. So our Auto Match awards, you will be automatically applied to those awards when you submit that application. So those are things that all of the criteria are pulled directly from that application. You don't need to do anything else. You're on the list. Apply To awards want a little bit more information from you. So currently right now, we have 2 awards open for our Sustainable Business Leadership program, and they need extra information. So if you click on that, you'll see the supplemental question is a short essay. Please describe your work ethic and your plans post-graduation. So that is what brings this award into an Apply To award, because it needs a little bit extra information from you, the applicant, before you can be put on the list for consideration. So anything that you that the system will recommend you for will be on this list. And how you get on that list through the system is by the program you choose. Sometimes it will be if you marked that you're a student with a disability. If you're in a trades program and you're a female, we have a few female identifying, we have a few for those. But typically it is through your program. So make sure you click the correct program. We have had that happen a few times where students have clicked the wrong program and then they're not on the list for the correct award. And you will be able to see all of your recommended opportunities here, but the system is not perfect like any computer system. You can also go into right here, hours. This will show the full list of awards that we have available for the enrolled season. So right here, these I'll say none and then ended. So these are open right now, and ended are from our entrance awards. But if you go down, 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 it'll show our enrolled awards here, which will be at the top once they open in September. So here's an example. The Barbara O'Coin Wood Award for Paramedicine. You click on that, this is an auto match award. The only thing you need to do is be in the paramedicine program. So mark that on your application. That's your program, and fill out the financial needs section. Then you will automatically be applied to that award. So like I said, the system's not perfect. So I always encourage students to go through the awards once their application is submitted and look at what's open and see if you might be eligible. The system will stop you from applying if you're 100% not eligible. And if you still feel like you are, you can always email me. There could be a data entry error, or there could be something going on with that award that is preventing you from applying. So I always encourage students to go through the full list of enrolled awards once they get their application submitted to make sure they're not missing anything, because unfortunately we do have awards every year that don't go distributed. It is getting much better, but to minimize that, we always encourage you, go and look. There could be something in there that you kind of might think you are eligible for, but you're not sure. If the system lets you apply for it, apply for it. You never know. We do have students who sometimes they apply for every single thing and there's no other applicants, so they are the ones that get it, and they do get multiple. We don't have a maximum number of awards you can get or a maximum amount of funding you can get from these awards. So please, please take the time to go through the full list and check to make sure that you're on the list for all of the ones that you are eligible for. And then when you're done with that, you'll come to this page. This is kind of, I always call it the dashboard, which I try not to because I don't want it to be confused with your program application. But what you'll see here is recommended opportunities submitted. So these are the awards the system is telling me I should apply for. 0 out of 2. So those would be the 2 that we just saw for the Sustainable Business Program. I didn't apply for them because I'm not a student. So it's a 0 out of 2, and my general application 0 out of 1. So when you go into this in the fall and you are applying for enrolled awards, you'll submit your general application. This will say 1 of 1. And if you're recommended for 15 awards and you apply for them all, this will say 15 of 15. Or if you're halfway done, it'll say 7 of 15. But it's a really quick way to see if you have applied for all of them. And I also encourage students to check in on their application throughout the application period. So if you apply the first day, September 23rd, awesome, great. But check again a couple times in case new awards have been added and they appear on your recommended list. That does happen. We often get new donors late into the season that want their award to be distributed right away. And if it's an award that has extra criteria, it'll pop up there if you fit into that category. So always give it a double check before they close to make sure there's no new ones on your recommended list. And you'll see here on my general application, it says needs attention. So that's because I didn't finish it. So if you start your application in September and something comes up and you have a paper due the next day, you don't have to finish it right away. You can go in anytime up to November 1st when the application's closed and update it, finish it. If your financial situation changes, you can update that. Anything like that, right up until November 1st at midnight is the deadline. So you can change that at any time. And when you get your application submitted, there'll also be a section under here that says current. So if you see something under current, that means you are on the list for consideration. You have successfully applied to that award. Okay. Now, a big question that we get is, how do I know and when do I get my money? So we notify all successful recipients via email, and enrolled awards are applied to student accounts in January. So prior to second semester starting, the money is added to your account. If you choose not to come back to your program in January after second semester, but you were offered an award, you do not get that money. It will go to another student. If for some reason you switch programs and say you're in the business program, but you switched to the accounting program, which doesn't happen often. But if the award you were offered was specific to the business program, you do not get that award. It will go to a student in the business program. Of course, that's just an example of things that can happen, not very often, but the award that you were offered in the fall is very specific to you. So if your situation changes, you are not entitled to that award. It is the criteria is very strict and is set by our donors, so we do not have the authority to change that. So keep that in mind if you fall into one of those situations come January. We do try to have our successful recipients all notified prior to the holiday break in December. The review period is a little bit extensive. We usually have 1,000 applications, so it takes a little bit of time to get through. But we usually do have them all done up by the holiday break in December. Okay, so just a couple more tips. I just want to reiterate tips to applying for the awards. Read all of the instructions carefully. Especially in that financial section, you want to make sure that is correct and that you're not going to be disqualified for a simple data entry mistake. Be specific in your essays. As you saw in the Sustainable Business Award, some applications ask for essays. So it will tell you exactly what it wants. It'll say, please tell us about your leadership abilities, or please give examples of community involvement, and be very specific. You can be personal, give us personal stories, as much detail as you want that will fit in. It's usually a max of 500 words. So be specific and don't let what we call fluff in your essays eat up your word count. 500 words can sometimes seem like a lot, but if you get going on your community involvement and different stories about things like that, it can really eat up your allotted space. So make sure you keep the fluff out. We don't care if you get to 500 words. We don't count your words. We don't look at how long the essay is. We look at the quality of it. So a big quality over quantity for the award essays. And like I've said, I'm going to say it a million times, don't skip the financial section. We can't make it mandatory because not everybody wants to disclose that, and that's fine. But if you're able to give us that information, do it, because your chances of receiving an award will go up exponentially if you fill out that section. And like I said already, apply for everything you're eligible for or everything you think you might be eligible for. Even if you're a little gray and like, oh, I don't know, apply for it if the system allows. And if you think you're eligible and the system won't allow, let me know and I'll be able to tell you exactly why you can't apply for it or fix the system so it'll allow you to, whichever one is best. And I see there's an error there on my presentation. I apologize for that. Changes can be made until November 1st. March 31st is our entrance award deadline. But November 1st, 2025 is the very last day to apply. Please apply early. Don't leave it until November 1st or October 31st. You want to be able to take the time to apply for everything, to write those essays if needed, to get a transcript if needed. Some of our awards will ask for an unofficial transcript. We don't need anything official, or might ask for a reference letter. So give yourself time to get those reference letters done, to get your transcript uploaded. And then you might have questions. So if you're applying at 10 o'clock on November 1st in the evening, I'm not going to answer your questions if you have any, and then it's going to be too late. So make sure you apply early and pick at it if you have to, like do the general application one day, and then a few days later, go in it and look to see what you need to do for the apply to awards that are on your recommended list. And then a couple days later, write an essay, maybe do another essay. And for these awards, you can reuse the essay. It's probably the only time in your academic journey that you'll be allowed to do that. But if you have 3 awards and they all want an essay on your leadership abilities, you can use the same one. That is absolutely acceptable. You will not be penalized for that. Your score will not be lowered for that. It is totally fine. We want to make it as easy for you as possible. So make sure you're specific in the essays, and totally fine for you to use the same one more than once. Again, for transcripts, you want to make sure that you get those in time. They don't have to be official. I do often get questions on if for first year students, well, I don't have any grades yet. What do I use? Totally valid question. You want to use whatever you used when you applied to Holland College. So if you're a recent high school graduate, we'll take your high school transcript. If you have previous post-secondary, we'll take that. The only thing to note is if you did adult education and you only did, say, one course, we want your previous education plus your adult ed. We want to see at least 3 successful courses on that transcript. So if you did English, upgraded your English at adult ed and you got a 90, that's awesome. But we want to see your other grades too. Or if you don't submit more than 3 or more, your application for that specific award will not be considered. All right. So we're going to open up to questions. I see a couple coming in, and I will pop the link to the awards page in the chat here in a moment. And just a quick reminder that our next summer series is for international students. It's International Student Information. It's on July 24th at 3:30 p.m. Atlantic Daylight Time. So that is the time zone in Prince Edward Island. So just make sure that you note, if you plan on attending that session, that you note the time zone is in PEI, it's Atlantic Daylight Time, specific to Precision Machinist, like just for that program. But what we do have, bring it up here for you. Okay, so we have a few awards that include precision machinist in their criteria. So the Action Arrow, that one is an entrance award. We have a graduation award, which is rare. We don't get a lot of graduation awards. So we have one of those. So that will be later in your program. There is an award that will be reopening as we didn't get enough applicants. That is the Canarector Foundation Scholarship Program. So that is for most trade programs. It is for Canadian citizens or permanent residents only entering their first year of studying an eligible program at Holland College. And you can check it out. I can send the link here. It is all trades, and there are quite a few awards available through that program. So we didn't have enough applicants to cover all of them. So that one will be reopening in the next couple of days, as well as the 3 Points Aviation Award is an enrolled award, and that is specific to Precision Machinist. If you are a resident of Summerside, so you already live in Summerside, not just going there to go to school, the City of Summerside Scholarship is open for Precision Machinist, as well as the Peter and Annie Saunier Family Award. That is only for students that attend the Summerside Waterfront campus. So Precision Machinist is included in that. And the Zelma Blanchard Family Award is also for students in the Precision Machinist program, as well as a few others at the Summerside Waterfront campus. No, we did mention a few times actually that Woo David, your question there, we do not ask for any proof of banking for these internal awards. That may be requested for other things you may need at your academic journey to Holland College, but not for the award section. You just have to fill it out. Just fill out those questions to the best of your ability. We don't ask for any financial statements or receipts or anything like that. Lily. Yeah, so there are a couple entrance awards that are still open. They're very specific to programs that didn't have enough applicants. There's I can bring them up here, but they will stay current until January. They don't get removed from your account until middle to late January, so they'll always kind of say that they're current on there. Um, so yeah, the only one that's open right now that we didn't receive enough applications for is the Cook Insurance Entrance Award for Construction Technology and Management. So if you're taking that program, there is an award open for that. And like I said, the Canorector Award will be reopening in the next couple of days. Okay, so the question on the data analytics program, you'll have to contact the recruitment department. You can contact them recruitment@hollandcollege.com. That answer is for Yan. And Bao, this session is only for our internal awards. If you'd like to talk about the student loans and grants, you can pop me an email at awards@hollandcollege.com. Okay, so if you received an entrance award, they'll be applied to your student account before the first day of class in September. So usually about a week before we get them on there. And then the enrolled awards will be January. You're welcome. Oh. Yeah, if you received award entrance awards that ended in March, or if you applied for them and didn't receive any, they don't have uh they don't hold any weight on your enrolled awards other than the financial section. We would expect you to include them when you're filling out the financial section, but you can absolutely apply for enrolled awards even if you received entrance awards or applied for entrance awards and didn't receive any. If you applied for entrance awards and you're going to apply for enrolled awards, you will have to fill out the general application again. That's the only thing. So make sure if you applied for the entrance awards, you still pop in there and get the general application filled out for the enrolled awards. You'll receive an email if you're selected for an award. Vanessa, for your the job information. Yeah, just what I always say is underestimate what you're going to have and overestimate what you're going to need. So if you're not sure if you're going to be able to work, what your hours are going to be, what you're going to get paid, you can leave that blank for now, or in September because you'll still be getting settled into your program. Um, and like I said, we're not gonna ask you for pay statements. So if you fill that out in September and you don't put anything in that section and that changes and you don't change it, like I would encourage you to change it to be fully honest. But I'm not gonna know if you're working. So you don't have to stress out about, okay, well, it's October 30th and I have a job now, but I didn't put that on my application. That's fine. That's fine. Everything is an estimation, and um, it's a little more lenient with entrance awards because it's so far out you don't know. And for enrolled awards, you have a better idea of what you need and what you have. Um, but yeah, it's totally fine to do an estimation, or if you're not sure if you're going to be working, you can leave that blank. That's fine too. Do you have any other questions? No, every award is different. So every award is funded by a private donor that set their own criteria. So the process of applying is the same. It's through the same system. It's the same account. If you created an account for your entrance awards, you use the same one for enrolled awards, but you will have to submit another general application. And all of the awards that are available in the enrolled season are different than those available in the entrance season. Some awards are related to your course. So some are specific to say business administration, sport and rec, things like that, but some are for all programs and based on financial need or leadership abilities. Every award is a little bit unique as the criteria is set by the donor themselves. So they're all a little bit different. So yes, some are related to your courses specifically, but some are not. I can't say for sure when this will be posted online. Our recruitment team handles that, but it shouldn't take very. You're very welcome. All right, if you don't have any questions, you can feel free to leave, but I'll stay on here until 4:30, and then the session will end and it will be posted shortly. Most likely, no. There's not typically new opportunities before November. It's possible. We do sometimes get donors that create new awards and they want them to be given out right away. So it's not guaranteed, but it is possible for sure. Uh, but typically I send you an email, but I also encourage you to go in and check your award account to make sure there isn't anything new on there that you haven't applied for. You're welcome. There aren't any awards that are currently open for the dental assisting program, but there are some that will be open in the enrolled season for dental assisting. And they also have a graduation award in that program. Um, so there is the Partner in Value Dental Assisting Award, um, the IODE Royal Edward Chapter Bursary Dental Assisting is included in that. The PI Dental Assistants Association Award has won, and those are all enrolled. And the Zuri Award for Parents is for it's pretty specific. It's for international students who demonstrate financial need and have children under the age of 18 involved in extracurricular activities. But that is specific to child and youth, dental assisting, early childhood, human services, and medical support services. You're welcome.